Hi, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be showcasing my LEGO Dyna Rex MOC. So here in front of me I have the 4 separate LEGO MOCs I've made to combine into Dynazenon. But of course, these guys, if you know Dynazenon, you know that Dynazenon can also combine into a T-Rex proportioned dragon known as Dyna Rex. And that's what these guys can do too. However, unfortunately because the Dyna Rex wasn't really high on my Dynazenon MOC priority list, it's really last minute and it's pretty fragile compared to the rest of the modes. So with that out of the way, I'm going to be showing you the parts needed to combine these guys. So here's the first part needed. It's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple part. It's just a 2x8 gray plate. Here's the second part you'll be needing. It's a simple yellow slope piece. And then finally you'll be needing these parts, which I've showed off in my final adjustments video, last minute adjustments videos. So with the parts needed to combine these guys, let's do it. Now we're going to be diving into this transformation starting with Dyna Diver. Okay, and first things first, we're going to be removing these turbine pieces. We're going to be setting them off to the side. Then we'll be splitting the legs apart from this bar and clip little thing. Then we will rotate this whole section up and around. I'm gonna keep rotating until up like so. Make sure the legs are going past this section. Okay, then fold these panels back this way. Then split these panels apart, and then fold that up much like on the Dynazenon transformation. Okay, now with that done, we can move to the legs. What's gonna happen here is I'm gonna hold on to the kneecap and then pull it this way. That's going to untap these. That's gonna untap these extra joints. These extra joints we're gonna accordion out like so. And then flip the toes down and then press them together back here to sort of splay them out. Do the same thing for the other side. It's not my favorite way of splaying them out, but it gets the job done. Okay, get Dyna get the legs in a good stance, in a good durable stance, because that's important. Alright, posable, durable stance. Next component will be transforming Dyna Soldier. Now, first things first, we are going to rip off the arms, set those aside, and remove the head. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull this out, you're going to disconnect it here, and then we set the head aside. Then the two jaws can open up. This can flex over, and then boom, we have a Dyna Rex head, which we're actually going to attach this part onto. Dang fly. Anyways, so this part is going to attach onto this single stud up here. Boom. After that's done, we can flip the tail up. Then we can split, use these joints, and then articulate the arms in a way so that they look like this. Then we can rotate these feet claws around, and then articulates the claws, so that they're in a nice stance. Then boom, we got the soldier portion pretty much done. Next we're going to do is we're going to attach these onto the soldier. So the studs here are going to connect to the anti-studs back here. So like this. And this connection is decently important. So next what's going to happen is the hole here is going to fit over this axle right here. So like so. Stuff likes to fall apart because why not? Come on, fit back on. Okay, alright. Next, what's going to happen is we're going to disconnect Dyna wing from its stand. Set the stand aside. Obviously, we're going to disconnect the parts we usually do. So that part, we get that part back, and this part, the helmet piece. Move what's going to be Dyna Rex. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to articulate the wings so that they're situated like this. Pretty simple. Then we can flip out the something beams. Then turn them around. Dang it. So we're going to turn them around. And then what's going to happen is the stuff's going to flip out much like on the actual version. So this gray bit, gray bits will untab from this single stud and then entirely flip out. Darn fly. Can't escape. But anyways, then what you do is you flip this yellow panel out and then rotate this clip. Okay, like so. Then we do the same for the other side. So flip this out, flip this out, flip this around, round and then boom. Here we have the Dyna wing portion done. Okay, then we take Dyna striker. So what's going to happen with this guy is these are going to rotate around this way. We're gonna also remove these parts and set them aside. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip them over. We're gonna lift the thumbs a little bit. We're gonna rotate these, and then flip the thumbs back down. Then grab this part, attach it so 4 studs are touching each part. So like this. Have it like this so that 2 anti-studs or 2 anti-studs of space are left on this side. So basically like that. So here we basically have the tail portion done. Now we can start combining a bit more. So the tail portion, so the anti-studs here up top are going to connect to the black studs here. So like so. And for the sake, then we can like flip the fingers in. Then we can take these Dyna wing parts and we can attach them onto the anti-studs here like before on the Dynazenon combination. It's very complex, it's very finicky, and it's very fragile. But I still wanted to make it because this is what Dynazenon does in the show. It turns into a dragon. Stuff just loves to fall apart, especially in this mode. So then what's gonna happen, we're gonna move this closer, and so what's basically gonna happen is we're gonna take this piece, we're gonna straighten stuff out, okay? And then these gray studs here are going to connect to the anti-studs on these connection pieces. It's not, again, everything here is tedious, it's finicky, and fragile. And then finally, we can connect the wings on. So what's going to happen is these round anti-studs are going to connect to those white studs up there. First, I did an oopsies. This is supposed to be oriented. It's supposed to be connected this way. So most of the studs facing down. Connects like that. Again, the way that waist connection is pretty awful. And then it connects like so. It is not going to be great. But there it is. There is Dyna Rex fully combined. And looking pretty good. Kinda. This thing is impressive, but man, do I not like to combine it. It is easily the most fragile thing. Easily the most fragile mode. Goodness. Stuff just loves to fall apart on this. Okay, that's how it looks from the back. Like it is an impressive looking piece, to be sure. But man, stuff lives. Again, stuff loves to fall apart in this mode. So anyways, I'm gonna have to talk about the articulation. I tried to put in like a good amount of articulation and stuff. So the head can open up. It's on a ball joint. Something you can do is can actually rotate using them ball joints and can look up and down on that hinge. There's like multiple hinges and ball joints in this section, so his head is pretty darn articulated. Kinda. It can look left and right a little bit. The wings, the articulation for the wings is pretty much the same for Dyna Wing, with the exception of the new added bits, which is just like hinge here, like hinge here, and like the double ball jointed double ball joints here at the wings, the something beams. So there's that. The arms have the same articulation as the arms are just the Dyna Soldier legs, so you have all that articulation. Man, I do not want to move this thing around. It does have a ball joint down there, but that part is so fragile. Everything would just fall apart. Obviously, the like flaps and skirt things and stuff are on ball joints and hinges. These are on ball joints. These are on like double hinges. So you have that. Now for tail articulation, there really isn't a whole ton. You can use the Galdor joints down here that made up the elbows, and you can use the hinges back there at the back here, and you can also like rotate these around, kinda. But it's really not that articulated. The legs, they're on the same ball joints as the Dynazenon, on the same knees, but you do show off a additional hinge, an additional Galador ratchet joint right there, so you do get that. So it does have a double jointed knee. However, the legs are so basically the thing is resting on the kneecaps and stuff like that. Then down at the feet, you do get the ball joints from the Dynazenon mode, and you get the splay out claws and the hinges here at the claws. So unfortunately, this thing does have a decent amount of articulation that I really can't even use because this thing is so fragile. That's why it's such a pain to record, even more so than that Dynazenon. Let's just move this around. So I'm actually going to do like some size comparisons. First of all, here it is next to a minifigure. Again, it is pretty small compared to this giant build. Here it is next to my Lego Super Robot Lego set. My Lego Super Robot with the knee modification. And by the way, the knee modification doesn't add any height. It doesn't like take or give height to him. It just gives him knees, that's all. Still pretty tall compared to the likes of a small Lego set like this. Here it is next to my OC, my Centimus Prime character. Again, pretty tall. So despite it's like being like slouched over. And then there's going to be one more comparison. Here is my Lego Dyna Rex compared to the Modroid Dyna Rex. And you may notice that the Modroid Dyna Rex has like its tail up and it's like a T-Rex like stance. Whereas this one, it's basically using the tail as like a third leg. Like I can like try. Under very specific circumstances, it can pull off this pose, but it is very difficult. There's a lot of balancing stuff. And again, it is pretty brutal to play around with. And actually, I'm gonna like bring up like a measuring tape. And so apparently it can stand up to about 10 inches. Like where the head is, that's standing at this stance. The wings are extending up to like 12.5 inches. So yeah, like nowhere near as tall as the Dynazenon mode. I'm trying to pose this thing as an absolute freak show. But you can tell that I've like put in a good amount of detail, at least. But yeah. This version, I do want to say that this build of this MOC I've made of the Dynazenon and the Dyna Rex, and it's really every mode of this MOC, it kind of suffers from being like so big it like crumbles under its own weight. Like the separate modes are fine. The separate modes don't really have that issue. And even the separate combination modes with to a certain extent, some of them. Actually no, they also have weight issues, never mind. Like any of the combination modes, they have weight issues because there's like so many parts and so much weight, so much plastic, so much weight to the MOC. So unfortunately, I might end up dismantling this MOC, but maybe I could like use the parts to make like a better like, first of all, a smaller Dynazenon. Like a smaller Dynazenon. So, darn, I lost my train of thought. Like, I do want to, like, take this thing apart to build, like, so I can, like, end up building, like, a smaller version of this where the modes can work slightly better. I'm not sure how accurate I can make them by making them smaller. But But I will say that this build does have presence. And I really am happy with how this turned out overall, even if this thing is a total mess, even if the Dyna Rex mode is a total mess. And yeah, and I guess that'll be it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to like and subscribe and maybe even comment. And I'll be seeing Dyna Rex roar. Yeah, and again, I'll be posting again sooner or later. Man, this thing is so brittle.